Hey everyone, and welcome. So, you know that feeling, right? You open up your favorite app, everything's going fine, and then boom, something goes completely wrong. It's frustrating, it's confusing. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on this hidden problem that's almost always the culprit. I like to call it a data quality sickness.
I mean, think about it. Maybe your food delivery shows up super late, or you get a completely wrong order. Or, and this is the worst, the restaurant you were craving just vanishes from the map. It feels totally random, doesn't it? But what if I told you it's not random at all? What if it all comes down to one single thing? Data quality.
Okay, to really see what I mean, let's cook up a little story. Let's imagine a fake food delivery app. We'll call it Hungry Now. Now, Hungry Now is taking off, it's getting super popular, but the complaints are starting to pile up. And every single problem seems to point back to the data that's kind of lurking in the shadows of their systems. So let's actually connect those frustrating moments to what's really going on. Right, so the delivery driver can't find your house because your postcode is missing from the order. That's a completeness issue. Or how about this? Your favorite restaurant is spelled two different ways, so it doesn't show up when you search for it. That's a problem with consistency. And what if a 50-minute delivery gets logged as just 5 minutes? Well, that's just plain inaccurate. You see, none of these are just random glitches. They're all symptoms of that deeper sickness we're talking about. All right, so let's put on our lab coats for a second and actually diagnose this thing properly. We've seen the symptoms, right? The late deliveries, the wrong orders. Now it's time for the official diagnosis, using the exact terms that data pros use every single day. So here they are, the 5 big signs of unhealthy data. You can think of these as the vital signs for a company's data health. Is the data correct? That's accuracy. Are there gaps? That's completeness. Does it all match up across the board? That's consistency. Is it fresh and up to date? That's timeliness. And finally, can the people who need it actually get to it? That's accessibility. If the answer to any of those is nope, well, you've definitely got a problem.
And look, this is way more than just an annoying experience for a customer. You have to understand, bad data is like a poison. It seeps into everything. Any analytics, any cool AI model you're trying to build, any huge business decision. If it's built on a foundation of bad data, it's gonna fail. It's basically doomed from the start.
But okay, there is a cure for this sickness, and this is where the hero of our story steps in, the data engineer. Now, these folks don't just run around putting out fires, randomly fixing errors here and there. No, they have a plan. They use a systematic framework to actually heal the data, and more importantly, to keep it healthy. And that plan is basically a 3-step process. It's pretty straightforward. First, you have to define what good even looks like. You set the rules. Second, you use tools and techniques to automatically enforce those rules. And third, you make the quality of the data visible to everybody so there's real accountability. Let's dig into each of those.
Okay, so step 1, setting the standard. This is all about being super specific. You can't just say, hey, we want our data to be accurate. That means nothing. You have to say 99.5% of our delivery times must match the rider's GPS data. See the difference? You don't just hope for completeness. You make a hard rule. Every single restaurant must have a postcode. These aren't just vague hopes. They are solid, measurable benchmarks.
All right, step 2, applying the tools. Once you have those rules, engineers use their toolkit to enforce them. They'll do something called data profiling, which is kind of like sending out a detective to scan for clues, things like duplicates or totally invalid values. They'll build in validation rules, which act like a bouncer at a club, stopping bad data at the door before it even gets in. And they'll set up automated ETL checks. Think of these as checkpoints, flagging any bad data that tries to sneak through the system. And step 3, this is where it all comes together. You make it visible. So instead of some engineer having to dig through lines and lines of code, a manager at our Hungry Now app can just glance at a dashboard. This bar chart tells them everything they need to know in a second. The postcode field is our #1 problem this week. It takes this really complex technical mess and turns it into a simple, clear insight that you can actually do something about. Okay, so this all sounds great for the tech folks, right? But why should the CEO care? Why does this matter to the business? Well, let's connect the dots here, from all this data stuff straight to the dollars and cents. Honestly, it boils down to something this simple. The second a customer sees a menu that's out of date or gets a completely wrong delivery estimate, you've lost their trust.
And in a world with a dozen other food apps, what are they going to do? They're just going to open a competitor's app. It's that brutal. So, at the end of the day, this is not just some IT problem tucked away in a server room. It is a fundamental business issue, period. Good data quality means happier customers, which means more repeat business, which means more revenue. It really is the bedrock of your brand's trust. Oh, and if that's not enough, there's a huge bonus reason to care. Sometimes it's literally the law. You've got regulations like GDPR that say you have to be able to find and delete a user's data if they ask. Guess what? If your data is a total mess, good luck with that. So yeah, good data quality is also crucial for passing audits, staying legal, and just honoring the promises you make to your partners. Okay, so as we start to wrap this up, what is the one big idea I want you to walk away with? Well, it all comes down to a really important shift in how you think about this stuff. A shift that really separates the amateurs from the pros. See, a lot of people think this whole thing is just about data cleaning, fixing mistakes after they happen. But that's like just mopping the floor every time it floods. It doesn't solve the real problem. True data quality is a strategy. It's about fixing the leaky pipe so the flood never happens in the first place. It's about prevention and constantly monitoring the health of the whole system. It's proactive, not just reactive. And that really leaves us with this one final question. For anyone out there working with data, you have to ask yourself, are you just cleaning up messes, or are you actually building a system people can trust? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's not just fixing cells in a spreadsheet. It's about building a foundation of trust with every single person who uses your app.